Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bubbles with Bethany. I am so excited to have you all here with us this week. This is a really super extra special week for so many reasons. One is we have this rock star guest on who I'll introduce in just a moment. Two is we have an after party. So if you stick around until after Bubbles, we are going to talk about this new amazing, awesome, kick-ass deal, totally self-serving that I have going on right now. But we'll do it after because I really want to highlight Jamil, and we are giving away something super awesome again this week. So please stay until the end because we're going to give it away at the end. We're going to play a silly game and we're going to give away a not silly prize. And that's going to be awesome. So you're going to want to stick around all the way until the end. But of course, you're going to want to because you are going to want to hear what our guest has to say. We are here today with the wholesaling king. I don't know if you actually call yourself that. I'm going to call you that. The wholesaling king himself, Jamil Damji. He has been on Triple Digit Flip. You might have seen him. He has astro flipping, which is just so fun. He also, if you don't follow him on Instagram, you are really missing a party because he is one of the most fun people that I follow on Instagram. Quick funny story about that, Jamil. The first time I met you in person was one of AJ Osborne's events. I believe it was the one in Boise, the Circle Live event, right?
Yeah, is that where I showed up in a bathrobe?
That is the one where you showed up in a bathrobe, which is the second funniest thing that I learned about you. So you had talked about at that how you almost got canceled. Do you remember this? Do you remember telling me about how you almost got canceled?
No, tell me about it because
Okay.
there might have been more than one time.
Okay, so, and this just came up again recently in the fitness challenge that I'm in, where people are talking about how all the health benefits of tanning your butthole.
Oh yeah, right.
Okay, so the funny part about that though is I follow someone else with a similar name to you, and I thought it was her who did that. So when I saw it was you, I was like, oh my God, I'm meeting him in person. He actually did that. And this is who it was. And I thought it was so much funnier. I was starstruck about you tanning your butthole, but you almost got canceled for it.
Yeah, it was
Really.
definitely became an incident. I'm on television, and so that's always a thing, right? And look, I don't care about being on TV. I think that's the biggest. I think that's the most liberating thing for me is that I don't really care if I do get canceled and they take the show away. So what, right? But because I have that attitude and I'm just recklessly myself, sometimes I do things that are not the best for my brand or the television network or whatever that is. But at the end of the day, I think every one of us is unique, and for me, my sense of humor is how I've been able to connect with people. And of course, life is serious, but you should have a lot of fun at the same time of the seriousness, right? And so I try to take an approach of really having a lighthearted perspective of things, and try not to take myself or anything too seriously, because what's the point?
I love that about you. I do. And you know what? Everyone says when you're out there building your personal brand, you've got to be authentically yourself. That might freak a few people out, but
Yeah.
got to be authentically yourself. And that is how people connect with you. I know I became an instant fan, for that reason as well, because you're hysterical. And my favorite part about the bathrobe incident was that you came out in the bathrobe and then just didn't mention it. No
Right.
explanation. You're just like, what?
Yeah.
I'm just here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the truth is the my wife had packed my bag for me, but she forgot to put clothes in it. And so I got to the hotel and I opened my bag up and there's nothing in there, right? There was my toiletries, there was a pair of running shoes and nothing else. And I'm like, wow, okay, well, let me see if I can go buy stuff. And there wasn't like I tried, but the timing was anyhow, it just all fell apart. And so I was like, okay, well, you got to improvise here.
Yeah,
What's
you were.
clean? And I looked around, and there it was. The bathrobe was there. It was shining. It was white. It was super clean. So I was like, all right, time to hop in the shower, put the bathrobe on, and just rock it. And so that's what I did.
And
Um,
Rocket, you did.
yeah. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I know I didn't give a reason for it, but that was what really was. I didn't
Yeah.
want to. I didn't want to. Um, like put my wife down or anything like that, because like, I should be packing myself anyhow. So
Well, I bet you do now, right?
yeah, actually, well, unfortunately, you know, I had a hard year last year, and so the unfortunate thing is my wife and I did end up parting ways. But she's a phenomenal human being, and so I'm like just I'm on the other side of that, all that, like, I guess, darkness that you can go through when that kind of thing happens, and doing a lot of learning about myself, and trying to figure out who I am after a 15-year relationship, right? Because you become a couple, and then the food you eat is like what you both like, or what you've decided you both can like together, and the movies you watch and the TV you watch, or whatever, the books you read, the friends you have, everything becomes this unit. And when you are no longer a unit, then you have to relearn who you are. And so I've been on this journey of relearning who I am, and it's been hard but beautiful, and giving me an incredible opportunity to reconnect with myself in a way that I don't think, done before. And it's sad that at 45 years old I realized that, oh my goodness, I'm totally disconnected from myself. And now it's this beautiful journey of reconnecting.
It is beautiful, and I know that it's a hard transition. I'm sorry. But at the same time, I'm not. Usually by the time it gets to that point, it's almost like congratulations, right? At that point.
I mean,
Usually.
for both of us, right? Like her and I, we just I raised our her daughter, but my daughter too, since she was 3 years old, and she just graduated from high school. And so we came together for her graduation, and we spent a weekend with extended family, and it was really nice. It was a really nice reminder of all of the really beautiful things that our relationship had, and the friendship that's the foundation of what this relationship will evolve into in the future, right? So it's really nice. And I think it's, congratulations for myself, but congratulations for her, because she's given herself an opportunity to relearn who she is, and reconnect to herself. And I'm really happy for her to be able to do that.
Good, good. Well, I'm happy for you and the growth that you've done. And I can tell you, I'm 10 years on the other side of it, and it does become actually pretty beautiful. I have a nice close friendship with, I don't even call, he actually referred to me as his friend the other day instead of his ex-wife. And we have a shared child too. And I was like, oh, well, that's nice. I'm not the ex-wife anymore. I'm your friend.
That's
So
great.
it's nice. Actually, today would have been our 20-year wedding anniversary. I just realized.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yes. Well, we have something else in common besides real estate and this lovely community, that I am a sucker for a good wellness retreat, and I understand that you, my friend, are as well. You've been to some really awesome retreats. Tell me about that a little
Yeah.
bit.
Well, I've been doing a lot of work on myself over the last decade. I found meditation roughly 10 years ago, when I was still, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I had done really well in my early 20s, and I rode the wave of the real estate market, and I crashed and burned. Right, I lost $12 million over 6 months in my 20s. And when you're in your 20s, you're so dumb. Right, like you still haven't had a lot of life experience. And so I made really poor choices with what I did with the money that I had made. And I made poor choices in what took me down the path of losing it all. And so, not to use that as an excuse, but I went into a pretty dark place after that. And I was in a motor vehicle accident where I broke my neck and almost lost my life. And um, that led to a pain pill addiction. And the pain pills, they kind of go hand in hand sometimes with other substances. And so I was drinking a lot, and I was you know, addicted to prescription medication, and I'm in this real dark place, right? And I'm realizing that my life is leaving me, you know. And I would sit out on the back patio and I would pass out on the back patio at night. And, you know, I know my wife at the time was looking at that, probably wondering, is this what I have to look forward to for the rest of our lives? And, you know, it's really unfortunate that she was even having those thoughts, because that's what I was giving her as a reality. But I found this book called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And she talks about how everybody that she knows who's successful meditates. She doesn't understand the mechanism or how it works or why it works. But she says that since she had started meditation, that her life had started to transform. And so she could anecdotally and experientially talk about how it was very effective. And so I thought, what do I have to lose? Right. So I woke up one morning with a hangover, and I downloaded an app called Headspace, and I did my first 5-minute meditation. And, you know, it sucked, right? I was really bad at it. And I was like, man, this is, but once I commit myself to something, I'm pretty good at being consistent at it. And so I just told myself, well, this is the one good thing you're going to do for yourself, and let's see where it takes you. And I continue doing it every day. 5-minute meditation led to a 10-minute, led to a 20-minute, led to a 30-minute, led to an hour, which ultimately then I didn't want to wake up with a hangover, because I really was interested in the meditation and how that made me feel. And the change of state that I was getting from the substance was now happening from a natural, through a natural exercise. And so the alcohol fell off, and then all of a sudden the pain medication fell off, and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Like I'm not doing this anymore. This is what's happening. And then my business started to take off, and the relationships that I was attracting in my life started to elevate. And I really came to the understanding that the contents of my heart and the contents of my head, so meaning the things that I was thinking and the way that I was feeling, was being reflected to me in the experiences that I was seeing in my day-to-day life. And when I came to that conclusion, when I finally realized that that's what it was, I had a beautiful opportunity, and that was to lean into that. And so I found the work of Joe Dispenza through that. And since then, I've done, you know, countless Joe Dispenza retreats. I had the pleasure of having dinner with him the last time that he put a retreat on. And so, you know, building a relationship there has been very, very transformative for me. And so I'm now, you know, doing other types of modalities. I'll be participating in a darkness retreat in the summertime, where I'll retreat into the darkness for 6 days, where there'll be, you know, no sensory input at all. And I'll just be alone with my thoughts. And, you know, from my understanding, when the lights are out long enough, the lights turn on. And so I'm excited to see what that has in store for me. But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm by no means, you know, a fully actualized human being, but I'm working on it. And I see that there's thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who are feeling the calling of evolving themselves into a better version of who they are, and integrating their spirit into the way that they operate in their lives. And so I'm happy to bring people like that along with me on my journey to discovering who I am and my true nature.
Oh, I am in love with that. First of all, big fan of Joe Dispenza as well. And, you know, so I'm going to ask the question that I always ask. And I'm glad we kind of led into this, because I suspect the answer is different now than it would have been prior to you starting this 10 years ago, or even than it would have been a year ago, through this new self-discovery journey that you're on. I am going to want to talk a lot more about retreats with you at some point, but I won't take up all of our time today. And by the way, everybody who's listening, you guys can feel free to ask questions in the chat if you have questions or use the hand raise function. I'm going to get mine in first because I get to. But if you guys have questions for Jamil, you'll have a chance to ask them as well. So Jamil, now having gone through this self-discovery journey, or at least started this, because I don't think we're ever really done with it, right? What would you say is your unique superpower?
Well, I had different ideas of what it was. I used to feel like I'm very good at connecting to people. I can read energy, and I've been able to do that since I was a kid. I can sense what's happening in a room right when I walk into it. I can feel what people are feeling. And that always kind of felt strange to me. Like I didn't understand what that was, and I thought that that was a superpower because it gave me intuition, and having an intuition or an understanding of what's happening underneath the surface allows me to connect to that level so that I can either create an opportunity, create a connection through a relationship, or determine that this is somebody or some like a person that I should not be in a relationship with, or I should stay away from, right? And so it gives me a greater power of discernment. And so that discernment was what I thought was my superpower, but it's really not. What I'm really good at is finding in others what is their drive, the thing that really lights people up. And when I'm able to find that, I can connect dots from that person to another person, or to myself, or to another, that can create magical opportunities. And these are the kinds of opportunities that have like boundless uh growth, and really can become big movements. And that was I think a springboard into my relationship with Pace Morby, and our collaboration that we've had over the years was really just seeing at the core of who he is, how special of a human being he is, and then seeing how I could connect dots for him in his life that were super meaningful and helpful, and have benefited me tremendously as well. And so it's I can say now that outside of that discernment is really being able to see the beauty in people, regardless of what they may even think of themselves, and trying to illuminate that so that I can connect the dots for them.
That might be the best superpower I've ever heard, actually. That's that's amazing because it obviously it benefits you, but it benefits the other person on the other end of that, maybe in ways they don't even realize, right? If you're seeing something in them that maybe they don't recognize, or that they've quieted down. Because a lot of us we learn to quiet that voice. You listen to your intuition your whole life, you said, since you were a kid. A lot of us quiet her down or him down.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Right?
society is, it's funny that you say that, because I just had a conversation with an author, Tucker Max, the other day. It was a beautiful talk. And he had said something that is still ringing in my ears right now. And I'm seeing evidence of it everywhere. But, modern life is designed to disconnect us from ourselves.
Yeah.
Everything that we do is disconnecting us from us, right? From our telephones, to the pace of our jobs, to how we work, to where we work. I mean, it really is disconnecting us from us. And, that's a tragedy, right? Because at the end of the day, you're who you're tethered to your entire life, right? You are who you are. And so if our education system and the people around us are making us dim that or ignore that, then it's snuffing out the divinity in all of us. And that's a tragic and very sad reality.
I agree. It's designed to disconnect us from ourselves, and it's efficient at it,
Yeah,
right?
very.
It's very efficient at it. So Jade's asking, and then Matt, we'll get to your question too. But Jade's asking, can you see aura? So you feel people's energy, you can sense people's energy. Can you actually see aura? Some people see, hear, feel.
So visually, no. Visually, no, I can't. It's a more of it's a feeling, right? It's and it's a thickness in the room. I don't know if that's if people can understand what I mean when I say that, but the density of a room changes when I'm in the room with somebody, and through the density of that medium, like what I'm feeling in the air, I know exactly what's happening. And it's a very, very interesting sensation. It's one that I've again had since I was a kid, and I never quieted it down. I learned that it was right, and so I would listen to it more, and I was always trying to kind of tune into that and read the room. But it's a thickness in the room. It's a strange way to describe it, but it's what it is.
That's really cool. So I want everybody to think about what he just said, because imagine your yourself is that what's causing whatever the negative thickness is, and then going and sitting with that and in the dark, in the silence for 6 days. Like, you really must be comfortable with the energy you're bringing into a room if you're willing to go sit with that for 6 days with no other
I,
senses.
I wouldn't say that I'm super comfortable with it. I'm
Well,
terrified
I mean, yeah, but I mean, a lot of people just wouldn't do it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I give you a lot of credit for that. It is a little terrifying, really, Who
And
knows what,
you can walk out at any time, right? So I think there's a comfort in that, knowing that I could just, feel my way to where the door is and open it.
yeah,
But that's not what I'm spending thousands of dollars to do. It's
right.
so ridiculous, right? It's like, what are you spending all this money for? Well, nothing
No,
actually.
literal nothingness. Yeah.
Literal nothing. And I'm willingly doing this. I've been on a wait list for over a year to spend this money for absolutely nothing.
The fact that the wait list is incredible to me. I
It's
love it.
awesome.
That means people are trying, right? People are trying to reconnect with themselves, and that gives me some hope, right?